Alright, and we're back with more Dragon Age. Where we left off? Oh yeah, we saved the Circle of Magi, and then, yeah, we're gonna go save Connor now. So, resume. Oh. Oh yeah, I think I talked to a few people around here, and then, I can't remember what I was doing, actually. Oh, I also, geared up Alistair in that Templar armor. Hey, Leliana!
Something I can help with?
Yeah, what would you like to be doing? What would someone like you be doing in Lothering's Chantry?
What is meant by someone like me?
You know, a beautiful, charming woman like yourself.
And there were no beautiful, charming women in the cloisters, you think?
No.
You would be wrong. There were many lovely young initiates in the Lothering cloister. All of them chaste and virtuous. It added to their mystique. Because
Cool.
then, they were forbidden. And forbidden fruit is the sweeter, no?
Oh, it is. So, what about your fruit? Is it forbidden?
My fruit? Well, it is not technically forbidden, but it's not freely given either. Not everyone gets a bite. I can't believe I'm having this conversation. But no, I did not take vows. The Chantry provides succor and safe harbor to all who seek it. I chose to stay and become affirmed.
Now, what did you do before that?
I was a traveling minstrel in Orlais. Tales and songs were my life. I performed, and they rewarded me with applause and coin. And my skill in battle? Well, you pick up different skills when you travel, yes? Yes, of course. Let's move on.
Let's not. I know you're hiding something.
I enjoy the nights at camp. The night always seems more peaceful to me. Safer.
Oh, yes, very peaceful to me. It's just, I know what you mean.
I feel the night grants us a reprieve from the troubles of the day. Silly, isn't it? The darkspawn never sleep, and they lurk in the shadows.
It is not silly to seek moments to lay down your burdens.
I enjoy those nights when we stand guard together, talking to pass the time in those small hours. Well, I talk and you listen mostly. Sometimes I succumb and
What do
fall
you
asleep
mean?
and wake to find you still watchful. And I know you're watching out for me.
Let's see, I'd be a poor leader if one of you died on my watch.
What I'm trying to say is that I trust you. I'm comfortable around you. This angered the Chantry, and you are our leader and my friend.
Is her lines broken?
Sometimes I think that maybe we could be more than that. Maker, look at me stumbling over my words like an ill-educated peasant girl. Some bard I am.
Yep. Let's go with number 2.
I'm not embarrassed. I'm just flushed because of the heat.
Yes. Someone like you being interested in me is flattering.
What? Are you saying I have bad taste? Why can't I like you? You're a good person, a great listener, a remarkable warrior. You often show signs of intelligence.
Often?
You're fairly good looking.
Hey!
Most of your facial features are in the right place.
What do you mean? Yeah, thanks. You're so complimentary.
You're welcome. I try. There isn't much more I can say. My feelings have been laid bare. You are very special to me.
Let's stay friends.
Friends? Right, friends. I see. Well, I mean, I can't imagine why we wouldn't stay friends.
Can't imagine either. I'm a gray rabbit. Duty comes first.
Yes, I understand. Completely. It's you and not me. I should go.
That's cool. Hey,
The stars are out.
sure are. Let's see. There's still a beauty to be found in this world.
It comforts me to know that the stars will remain untouched by the blight. That whatever happens down here, they will shine eternally. Their light undimmed. There is a story about that cluster of stars over there. Do you know it? Elindra and her soldier?
Oh my. Tell me the
A
story.
long time ago, there lived a fair maiden called Elindra. She had many suitors, but
Oh
spurned them all,
my.
for she did not love them. One day, Elindra was sitting by her window in her father's castle, singing and dreaming, when her lovely voice caught the attention of a young soldier.
Of
Entranced by
course.
her song, the soldier drew near to Elindra's window. As their eyes met, he fell in love with her, and she with him. When Elindra
Sounds
told her
easy.
father about the man she had chosen, he was furious, for Elindra was high-born, but her love nothing more than a common soldier. To keep them apart, he had Elindra imprisoned in the highest tower of his castle,
Oh
and sent
my.
her soldier to the wars. Alas, not a month had passed before news of the soldier's death reached Elindra. Alone in her tower, Elindra wept for her love and beseeched the gods to deliver her from this cruel world.
Sucks.
So earnest was her plea that the gods themselves were moved. They gathered Elindra into their arms and lifted her high into the heavens, where she became a star. The gods also raised up the soul of Elindra's soldier love, and there he dwells, across the horizon from her. The band of stars between them is a river of Elindra's tears, cried for her lost love. They say that when Elindra
quite a
has cried
story.
enough, she will be able to cross the river to be reunited with her soldier.
I'll never look at the stars the same way again.
This story is one of my favorites. A tale of a love so great and so enduring that it defies death and moves the gods to action. Sometimes I ask myself, does such a love exist? Can it exist?
Weren't you just having it for me just a moment ago? Let's see, I really want to say real love is a mix of lust and attachment, nothing more. Let's see, if we lose hope and love now, let's go
I
to
never expected you to say that. It is a pleasant surprise.
I'm secretly a terrible romantic.
I have to say there is a certain severity to you. Finding a person behind that all is not.
Hey!
Maybe you should let your softer side show more often. Sometimes following your heart, not your head, leads you to remarkable places.
I wouldn't know about that one. I mean, if I follow my heart, man, it's going to be going in quite the weird places. Ooh, what's this? Allied supply crates. Let's see, a communal box for the resources you have collected for your troops. Who the hell are you?
The Circle of Magi stands ready to assist, Grey Warden, as do the Templars of the Chantry.
Do you need anything?
There are always areas to improve on, Grey Warden. The most useful for my talents are runes.
Oh, great. Oh, God. I hate this guy already. I mean, why do I have a tranquil in
I'm
my
here
camp?
for you.
Cool. We need to talk.
Of course.
Let's see. You were a traveling minstrel.
Of course I do. I love stories far too much to keep them to myself. Everyone should be able to benefit from them, I think.
Let's see. There's another story. Let's see. Tell me about Darkspawn.
Chantry law says it is man's pride that created the Darkspawn. In ages past, the mages of the Tevinder Imperium ruled much of the world we know. In their pride, they thought their magics invincible and imagined that they were greater than the Maker himself. So thinking, they invaded his golden city, planning to take it for themselves and depose their own creator. But they were impure
That it worked.
and full of sin. And it is with the sin that they tainted the golden city, corrupting it forever. The Maker cursed them and cast them from his sight. Wherever they went, they spread the taint of their sin. Any land that was touched by the taint became blighted and would suffer no life. Instead, the Darkspawn arose to torment us and remind us of our hubris.
That sounds like an awful story, considering that if the Maker really wanted to do something about it, he would have just cast them down and just killed them, instead of punishing the rest of us for basically nothing. We didn't do anything. Know any stories about from Orlais?
Of course, Orlesians enjoy telling stories. I shall tell you my favorite tale of Aveline, the Knight of Orlais.
Oh boy, here we go. That sounds interesting.
A long time ago, a girl child was born to a farmer. He had hoped for a son, not a daughter, and so he told his wife to abandon the child in the woods.
Wow.
Before the cold could claim her, the baby was found by a tribe of Dalish elves who took pity on the poor mewling thing and raised her as their own. Aveline, for that is what they called her, grew strong and quick and clever under the guidance of the elves. She learned to wield a sword as well as any man, could kill a deer with an arrow at 100 paces, and was as graceful on the back of a horse as she was on foot.
Continue, please.
Aveline's Dalish guardians saw that she could easily best any Orlesian chevalier in battle, and wanted to show the cruel humans the child they had left to die. They bestowed upon her a fine horse and armor, and sent her to prove herself to her people in the grand tourney. Now in those days, no woman was allowed to take up arms, let alone compete in the grand tourney, but Aveline kept her helmet on and was not discovered.
Bill, did she go on?
Aveline won many events and gained the approval of the adoring crowd. Eventually, she came face to face with the knight Kaleva in the grand melee. Aveline had already bested him in the joust, and Kaleva was determined not to lose a second time. Out of desperation to regain his honor, Kaleva tripped Aveline and tossed her to the ground, ripping off her helmet as he did so. Silence fell upon the arena as Aveline was revealed. Kaleva declared the previous competitions invalid. A woman had taken part, and this was not allowed. But the crowd cheered for Aveline. Kaleva was furious, for he had lost to a woman and was now being shamed.
Sucks
Blinded
to be you.
by his rage, he forced Aveline to her knees. "Know your place, woman," cried he, and slit her throat.
Just like that? I was hoping for a happy ending.
The son of the king, Prince Freyan, was present. He recognized Aveline's skill and bravery and began to see the injustice done to the women in his land. When he was made king, he rewrote the laws of Orlais so that women could also become chevalier. He honored Aveline and knighted her after her death. And
After?
to this day, any female who is knighted reveres Aveline the Brave, for she is the patron of all women chevalier.
Cool. So, do you know any Ferelden legends?
I know one, told to me by my mother a long time ago. It always chilled me to the bone. Maybe you have heard of Flemeth?
I've no. Yes. Morgan's mother was called Flemeth. I met a Flemeth in the.
Are you sure? Was she the Flemeth of legend? Flemeth, the devourer of men? Flemeth, mother of witches? Flemeth, demon-touched, who dwells in the mists?
Sounds pretty accurate to me. She looked like. No. What does it matter?
Ferelden mothers scare their daughters with talk of Flemeth. They say that if you're bad, Flemeth will spirit you away and bind you to her forever. They also say that Flemeth mourns her lost beauty and will steal yours through your looking glass if she catches you.
Tell me the whole story.
Flemeth's beauty was known throughout the land. She had hair like unto a moonless night, skin as pale as winter's first snow,
Sounds hot.
and eyes as beautiful and perilous as the sea.
Go
When
on.
she came of age, she came to the attention of the Lord of Highever, Conobar, and he took her for his wife.
My goodness.
Conobar soon learned that his young bride had the gift of magic. He kept this a secret, for he feared that she would be taken from him. Flemeth stayed with Conobar for some years, and with his blessing, she practiced her
With his
art.
blessing?
And then one day, a young poet named Osen came to the castle. Flemeth was captivated by Osen's voice, and he by her beauty, and they fell in love.
Ooh, the plot thickens.
Flemeth longed to be with her true love, and she and Osen fled from Conobar's lands, seeking refuge in the Kokari wilds with the Chasing tribes.
Wait.
They lived there happily for many a year, till the day Flemeth received news that Conobar was dying and longed to see her face one last time. Flemeth's heart swelled with pity for the man who once was her husband, and begged Osen to return to Conobar's side with her.
Go
But
on.
when Flemeth and Osen entered Highever, They were captured by Conobar's men, and Othn was slain in front of Flemeth's eyes.
Sucks.
Flemeth was imprisoned in the highest tower of the castle.
Why is it always the highest
there to
tower?
await Conobar's judgment on her. Distraught at the loss of her love, Flemeth plotted revenge against her husband. She summoned a fey demon, intending for it to wreak vengeance on Conobar. But a spell went awry.
Oh my.
The demon possessed Flemeth. Turning her into an abomination, the halls of the castle run red with blood as Flemeth slaughtered Conobar and all his men.
Yay.
The last of Flemeth's humanity melted away, and at dawn, she stole back to the wilds to plot and scheme for 100 years. They say she took to her side many chastened men, and with their help, begat her daughter witches, who even now prowl the dark places of the Kokari wilds.
Sounds hot. There was another story.
Which one?
What do you know about Andraste?
Andraste was the Maker's chosen. The Maker had long since abandoned the world when the sound of her singing turned his ear. Beauty, grace, and wisdom enraptured him, and he offered to take her from this flawed world to become his divine bride. But Andraste had an earthly husband and would not forsake him. Instead, she beseeched the Maker to return to his people once more. So earnest was her plea that the Maker was moved, and promised that he would create a paradise on earth if all abandoned their false gods and turned once more to him. And this is why Andraste began her exalted march on the idolaters of the Tevinter Imperium. The Maker granted her his powers with which to smite her enemies. Andraste brought the Imperium to its knees, and her victories converted many to the worship of the Maker.
Cool. Let's see, do you know anything about the Dalish?
I have heard a little about how the elves gained their freedom from the Tevinter Imperium. When Andraste began her exalted march against the Imperium, the elves joined her cause to fight their masters. The great elven leader, Shatan, born in captivity, rose up to lead his people. He foresaw a future where the elves were free. Shatan was killed when Andraste was betrayed, but the elves continued to fight, eventually breaking free of the Imperium. The elves claimed the Dales in the south and settled there in the land of their own.
Man, you guys have had so much time to write all this story, I'm gonna be honest. It didn't last.
The elves lived in the Dales for centuries. They resurrected the worship of the elven gods and would allow the building of no chantry. This angered the chantry, and the hostility between the two factions finally broke out in open war. The chantry says the elves struck first, but I do not know whether to believe it.
I don't
The
know
chantry
about that one
declared a
either.
wholly exalted march against the elves, named for Andraste's similar march against Tevinter. During the exalted march of the Dales, the elven cities were sacked, and the elven state completely dissolved.
Wow.
Some of the elves bitterly accepted their fates and surrendered to human rule, living in the human cities as second-class citizens. But others, still fiercely proud of their heritage, refused to bow to the humans, and instead became homeless wanderers. They were the elves of the Dales, the Dalish.
Good on them. Good on them. How did Andraste die?
Alas, it was the frailties of men that betrayed and killed Andraste.
Whoa.
Her earthly husband, Mafarath, a chieftain of the Alamari tribes himself, grew jealous as his wife's popularity and influence overshadowed his own.
Sucks.
She was also revered as the Maker's betrothed, and Mafarath began to see their own bond waning in significance as Andraste became ever more devoted to the Maker. Out of envy and spite, Mafarath made a pact with the Archon Hysarian of Tevinter, allowing his beloved Andraste to be ambushed and captured. Andraste was burned at the stake in Minrathous, the capital of Tevinter.
But Tevinter has a chantry, doesn't it? So why did the Maker not save her with his power?
I have thought on this too. Did he withdraw his sight from her at that moment? Where were all the powers he bestowed upon her? This question has come to me many times, and I have no answer. Perhaps there was no way for Andraste to return to the Maker but through her death. We will never know for sure.
So what you're telling me is that this guy legitimately gave her a whole bunch of power, let her become super popular, really powerful, And then her husband was just unhappy with that. And was like, you know what? Screw you. And then basically just shoved her into his arms. Nice. Real nice. Well, I mean, at least he got his wife now. You know, in the end, he managed to get his own wife. Let's see. Let's just move on. Let's see. Alistair, Shale, Morgan, Leliana. Why are you not telling... Wait, what? You are not in love with me. Excuse you. Morgan. I'm done talking to her. She's weird.
I await your command.
Oh my. So life in the wilds must have been very lonely.
At times, perhaps. A world full of people and buildings and things was all very foreign to me. If I wished companionship, I ran with the wolves and flew with the birds. If I spoke, 'twas to the trees.
And did they speak back?
Don't be foolish.
Hey!
I recall the first time I crept beyond the edge of the wilds. I did so in animal form, remaining in the shadows and watching these strange townsfolk from afar. I happened upon a noblewoman by her carriage, adorned in sparkling garments the likes of which I had never before seen. I was dazzled. This, to me, seemed what true wealth and beauty must be. I snuck up behind her and stole a hand mirror from the carriage. 'Twas encrusted in gold and crystalline gemstones, and I hugged it to my chest with delight as I sped back to the wilds.
I can't imagine Flemeth was pleased.
She was not. Flemeth was furious with me. I was a child and had not yet come into my full power, and I had risked discovery for the sake of a pretty bauble. To teach me a lesson, Flemeth took the mirror and smashed it upon the ground. I was heartbroken.
But you were just a child.
And a foolish one. Flemeth was right to break me of my fascination. Beauty and love are fleeting and have no meaning.
Wow.
Survival has meaning. Power has meaning.
I like the way
Without
you
those
think.
lessons, I would not be here today, as difficult as they might have been.
But you don't need to live that way. They made you stronger, didn't they?
They did indeed. To return to your original question, perhaps my time in the wilds was indeed lonely, but such was how it had to be. I find myself at times wondering what might have become of the girl with the beautiful golden mirror, but such fantasies have no place amidst reality.
Well, what do you mean? Hey, Morgan, let me talk to you again.
I await your command.
I'd like to discuss something personal.
We're in camp, so 'tis as good a time as any.
Why are you still here?
Because I need your help with my mother, of course. Why else? Why? Do you wish me to leave? I can do so if you prefer.
No, I don't know. I don't want you to leave.
Then I assume our discussion ends here.
What do you mean? What do you mean Morgan disapproves? Whatever. I'll just give her a thoughtful gift and she'll be happy with it. Let's see. Warm. Yeah, I'll just give her a thoughtful gift and she'll be happy again. Oh yeah, I was supposed to give Alistair his mother's amulet. Here. Alistair. Grey Warden hand puppet. Here you go. Oh. Here you go.
This is my mother's amulet. It has to be. But why isn't it broken? Where did you find it?
I found it in Redcliffe Castle in the study.
Oh, the Arl study?
Yeah.
Then he must have found the amulet after I threw it at the wall. And he repaired it and kept it. I don't understand. Why would he do that?
Maybe he meant to give it back to you. Perhaps you mean more to him than you think.
I guess you could be right. We never really talked that much. And then the way I left. Thank you. I mean it. I thought I'd lost this to my own stupidity. I'll need to talk to him about this if he recovers from his... When
That's
he
right.
recovers.
You keep it up, man.
I wish I'd had this a long time ago. Did you remember me mentioning it?
No.
Wow. Huh. I'm more used to people not really listening when I go on about things.
You're a friend. Of course I remembered.
I don't know what to say. I'm honored. Thanks again.
You're welcome, pal.